third gear and go over that. Whoops.
Did you put a dent in it? That's the important part. Hey, one thing we do on the show is answer viewer questions, and Kenny EIEIO has a question, then roosting your pit crew after you take off. Okay, it's Tech Talk, Taco Tuesday, episode number 292, according to the records that I try to keep. This is the show where we talk about motorcycle and motorcycle product-related questions. My name is Jimmy Lewis. I'm a washed-up ex-motorcycle racer. Sometimes I'm a journalist. I used to teach people how to ride motorcycles, and now I have a podcast because I am a grandfluencer. That's right. I am a grandfluencer. This is a really important word that I learned today that allows me to explain what I do, because all you kids know how to push the start button on the thing. I hope the audio is working. This is really important. I didn't do my audio check like I usually do, and if there is an audio problem, somebody should do that. Bill says, was that you, Jimmy, jumping the Honda at Millville? Nice landing. Oh, well, thank you, Bill, for also going to be on the show here real soon. Yes, that was that epic. That's the catapult, but I did like a cha-pult. I didn't do the whole ad. I didn't add the part of the chad, and that's why I landed in the hole. And big impact. It was heard all the way back in the pits, I'm told. And of course, Trevor got a video of it. And since I'm not ashamed, because that way I can tell you how I test suspension. Because a lot of us, maybe we don't have the jumping skills to just grease everything on the first try. So hopefully that if somebody can text me back and let me know that the sound is working. Oh, it is working. I just got a thumbs up from one of my guests who I have hiding in, we'll call it the green room, but really it's a digital thing. But grandfluencer, that's what evidently I am at my age. Okay, I got to put my headphones on to make sure that, because I won't be able to hear my guests. See, I forget things all the time. And this loud and clear in the pre-show. This is the problem. Is I did kind of a sub show one time when I didn't have my microphone, and I just went ahead and went on the grams and Instagrams and did the show, and everybody said it was the best sound ever. So anyways, all these wires, and I showed it to I can't show the show all the wires. I can't show everybody all these wires because the cameras are all fixed and stuff. The studio looks a lot better on the show than it does in the thing. So cheers, everybody. If you're wondering what the sipper tonight is, I got to show this to the camera as well. Tonight made a good call. I got the Contigo 1316. That would be some numbers in Spanish that I can't pronounce. 13016 or something. This is a really good call. I'm told it's double or triple distilled. So there you go. If you're out there in the chats, let me know. Say hi. I know we have a lot of lurkers. 11 million lurkers currently watching this. And that's why I'm a grandfluencer. Well, I'm not actually technically not a grandfluencer because you have to be 60. I'm not there yet. So with that, on tonight's show, I did a little thing. We have, we're going to talk about our YZ250F riding impression, although we can't talk about it because we can't release the video till tomorrow morning. We're going to talk about Jimmy, that's me, selling some motorcycles, and I'm going to take all of the YouTube questions for the last 2 weeks that I neglected because I'm really horrible at doing my job. But right now, Trent Zimmerman says hi, and MX Bean says yo. Welcome to the show. Hold on, now I've got to figure out which button to push. I know I've got him over here. I've got a button over here. Welcome to the show. That's Bill Doherty, and Dean will also say hi.
Hey guys.
And that's Dean Taylor, and these are the lucky guys. They didn't win a contest. They weren't specially chosen out of any sort of group. Dean sent me a really nice email that explained that they really wanted to do Vegas to Reno, and they were kind of curious if there's any sort of collaboration they could do with Dirt Bike Test. Just happened to know this guy, Johnny Campbell. And I said, hey, Johnny, I got some old guys that want to race Reno to Vegas. You want to help them? He's like, yeah. And so it happened. And you guys got to ride essentially a full-on JCR prepped Honda CRF 450X in the race, correct?
That is correct.
And then your riding coach, who is shown in one of the videos. So if you want to learn a little bit more about this, you want to get the backstory, go to dirtbiketest.com, and we have it's a web page. You have to type. It's weird. You have to go to www.dirtbiketest.com. Go in there, and there's Old Pros Racing does the Vegas to Reno, correct?
Yes.
And I've got most of the videos uploaded there, and I'm going to upload more because there's a brand new one that just dropped today that I was gonna grab off of the YouTubes here, and then I was gonna be able to play it on the show. I may be able to do this if you guys start telling long stories, and it gives me enough time to do something with my fingers.
That's why we
feel free to go ahead.
I said that's why we brought Bill for long stories.
Good. Feel free to interrupt me because evidently that's all I do to other people on this show.
Dean and I are pretty good at that.
Yeah. Well, you guys are way more talkative in person that I noticed when at the finish line. I had a lot of stuff going on, and you guys were super talkative at the finish line. And I remember it was a little bit like pulling teeth, which isn't that hard to do on old dudes, these days. When we were on the last podcast, but anyway, so how about a little whoever wants to take the realm, tell us how the race went.
Well, you know what? It was fantastic. We had the bike, probably the best bike I've ever thrown a leg over. It was fast. It handled great. The suspension was superb. It was a really great experience for all of us. It probably isn't as great cinematically as we had hoped, because in order for it to be a great cinematic success, we had to have some drama, but there was no drama. I mean, the bike just worked. Nobody crashed very hard. Bill, we had one little mix-up where we had Mike Doherty, our other partner, ended up at the wrong pit at the wrong time, and Bill had to do double duty. But
okay, wait, hold on. We got to come back to that, but keep going.
Okay, and well, and then Bill, I don't know. What do you think, man? Yeah,
I'll give about that pit. That was a tough one. I'm going to give Mike Ross the credit on that one, because we were going to leapfrog ahead of that, and we'd check to see if Mike was at the pit. He wasn't there. He was 30 minutes south of there in the wrong spot. And you were only 20 minutes away from coming in. So called brother Mike up, said, hey, look, I'm going to take your run. You go down and take my run. We made it work. It worked out just great. Yeah, we were lucky. It was a tough race, right, Dean? That was one of the hardest Vegas races for two reasons. Number one, they had the flash floods the night before. Some of the roads were going to be open, not going to be open, but it all worked out. But there was moisture some spots. There was powder pockets some spots. 2 weeks earlier, they had the Legends race, which really beat the living hell out of the course and made the powder and the silt pockets like 5 times worse than they were the year before. That was very challenging, but we made it, and the bike came through. Thanks to Johnny Campbell Racing, the bike came through without a glitch at all.
Yeah.
Don't worry about all this stuff that I'm moving around on the screens here. This is technical difficulties.
Yeah.
Here we go. That's the thing I need to move. There.
There was so much rain the night before. To give you an idea, at the riders meeting, which we'll talk about in our next video that we put up. Daryl folks gets on stage and says, "Hey guys, Highway 95 is closed south of Hawthorne, right? The road is gone." That was exactly what he said. The road is gone south of Hawthorne. You cannot get through as of right now. And this is, less than
9 o'clock
for the start of the race.
9:00 at night or something like this.
Yeah, exactly. So we're all kind of looking at each other going, well, if they're going to cancel the race, yeah, I guess they'll do it in the morning at some time. But as it turned out, the road being gone wasn't really gone. It was flooded, but the pavement was still there. So they weren't, sending us off through the boondocks to go around a washout. There was just a lot of water over the road in the evening. Bill, I guess when you got to Top Gun, so I don't know who's listening knows kind of how we're going to talk about different places like Weeks and Top Gun and Rawhide. Those are all the different pit locations, and as you go down south through Nevada, you go to each one of those pit locations. So Weeks was the first pit, and Mike Doherty, Bill's brother, was on the bike there. And what was there, 1.5 feet, 2 feet of water in the pits as they came through?
At Top Gun?
At Weeks.
Oh,
when
Mike
Bill
said
came.
that after Weeks, that old lake bed has got the reeds and stuff on it, that he said there was water everywhere.
Oh, and there's Mike.
Hey. Mike.
Brought Mike in. Wow, look at that. He's Mike is currently at the Tennessee Knockout, correct?
That's correct.
Try to say hi to my good buddy Eric Pignard.
He's right. He was right behind me a second ago.
Yeah, and then tell Sean Finley he should have bought Dirt Bike Test yesterday while it was for sale.
I'll tell him that.
So
he says you should have bought Dirt Bike Test yesterday when it was for sale. He's laughing.
What?
So
Jimmy Lewis is making a joke.
So Mike was the third member on the team. Just let him hop in on the call. So what we have is Mike Doherty, Bill Doherty, and Dean Taylor, who rode the Vegas to Reno on the Dirt Bike Test / JCR Honda. And I kind of want to just kind of roll back. They're going to tell a little bit of their story tonight, explain a couple things. And Dean said is straight away, and even in one of the videos, his thing was, this is the best bike I've ever ridden.
Yeah.
And when I kind of see that, and I know kind of just, it wasn't the bike. The bike's a good bike, but I think what he's referring to, and I think what helps us, is just the prep and the kind of the attention to detail that goes into it, and a little bit of kind of what Johnny does, what Johnny knows how to do is he's done this for a while, so they know how to get a really good setting. I mean, they understand the setting, they know how to setting. He knows what kind of power works good for these kind of races. They know kind of the gearing to put on it. What you're dealing with there is a lot of experience, and then it was just kind of up to you guys to just get on the bike. And you said it was an uneventful sort of race, and that's kind of how you want those things to go.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we all had, those moments when we were on the bike when we kind of went, oh no, one of those, you hit a rock, you bounce, you end up. I know I did a full tank slapper thinking this could be it, but it never was. I mean, the bike just worked. Probably the best suspension I've ever ridden on. In my 58 years of riding motorcycles.
Well, Jimmy,
I mean, stuff's just getting better and better, and again, it just kind of comes down to sort of knowing what the job for the bike is. Knowing, kind of having a good setup, understanding that, and that's what we get to. You got to experience a little bit of what a factory rider gets to experience. I'm sure your bike wasn't the same or exactly the same spec as what Preston and Skylar rode, but it had a lot of the same stuff, and what it did have identical was the prep. It was.
I got to tell you, Jimmy, too. Johnny Campbell came out to Idaho, met Dean and I and Mike out in the desert. 2 weeks before?
Yeah.
And the suspension that he did on the bike, I weigh 225, and Mike and Dean are about 180. And so I thought, this is going to be a little tough because the spring rate may not be right. And we all went out and rode the bike. And I came back and I told Johnny, I go, hey, Johnny, that thing's just too soft for me. It's kind of just sitting down way too far. And he goes, oh, so you need to turn in the high-speed compression to half turn. And I kind of thought, oh, I thought that was more about the spring and the preload. He goes, nope, turn that high speed in. So I turned it into half, went out and rode it. And I go, wow, totally different feel. Felt really good to me. And then Mike,
and this is,
you
and
got
so-
on
so
it,
to kinda-
and you got on it with it turned in the half for me, for my weight. And then what did you think?
I thought I could. It didn't feel good.
Yeah.
So we moved it back out a half a turn, and I was just impressed that I could tell the difference, and it was a big difference.
Yeah, it was.
and so this is something, and I like to kind of, because this show is Tech Talk Taco Tuesday, we like to answer the motorcycle and motorcycle product related questions to give kind of the viewers like, hey, how does this help? So everybody hears about high speed compression on shocks. It's usually the larger adjuster. There's a small, what they call low speed compression, a bigger adjuster that's high speed compression. So if you're on a competition bike these days, they typically have it. And it's not like high speed. Some people think it's high speed, like the bike's going faster. We need high speed compression. It's talking about shaft speeds. And what's funny is most riders can't feel, quote, the high speed compression, what it's doing. But what it does do, without a doubt, and you guys just explained this, is that the more high speed compression you dial in, the higher it holds the shock up in the stroke. So, because usually the hits that the shock is getting, especially the little bumps that tend to have it, squat down and squeeze, those are high speed hits. You're hitting the little washboards, or you're hitting those kind of like little curbs. Well, the high speed will kick in at that point and keep the bike up in the stroke, and therefore allow it to handle properly, as opposed to kind of riding lower in the stroke. So this is like a quick fix. If you ever wonder, is my shock preload, my spring preload a little too soft, try carrying in a little bit of high speed. And if it works, and we're talking about a bike we're right now trying to get work for 3 different weight riders. That's the quick, simple, easy way that during a pit, if you have a guy that's ready to go there and just make this little adjustment, it makes a huge difference. And it was really good that you guys kind of felt that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's exactly what we did. Bill would get on, and we had one chase driver, Mike Ross. It was his job to twist it in a half a turn, and it was his job to take it out when Bill got off. Because wherever Bill got on, Mike was going to be there dropping him off. Wherever Bill got off, Mike was going to be there to pick him up. So it was his job to turn it in and turn it out every time Bill got on or got off the bike. It worked great.
Yeah, and it's just like, that's just something we've learned over time, that's a feature that can help out. And a lot of times, if nobody said anything, then you go to this compromised spring preload setting,
right,
and then it doesn't work good for the bike doesn't work good for anybody. So and the same thing can be done with sometimes some of the bikes have shock or fork preload adjusters, and then depending on how much gas is in the bike and or the rider and the riding style, there's lots of little things that you can kind of learn to get this set up. So, hey, one thing we do on the show is answer viewer questions, and Kenny EIEIO has a question. I'm going to go to that. And if you guys want to jump in on this one, feel free to do so. His question says, for when you get around to questions, I'm getting around to it right now. I installed a Recluse CX 4.0 clutch. Before that, I already had an adjustable slave cylinder installed. What's the best way to bleed it? And then he says, I did unlock it by cracking the bleed screw. Locked it up by pulling it while disassembled the clutch. Let's see. So now it's back together. And what is the best process or foolproof for an idiot doing it solo? So for bleeding, so he's basically, it's a clutch slave cylinder, and he's got a little bit of air in the line. And actually one of the easiest ways to do that is to take the cap off the clutch master cylinder and where the reservoir is at, and fill it to the top. And all you do is crack the bleed at the bottom and just let it start gravity feeding down, and just keep because gravity will take the fluid down most of the time if there's no obstructions in the line, etc. You can just kind of fill it up and let it gravity feed down. Sometimes the bubbles, depending on the thickness of the fluid you're using and stuff, sometimes the bubbles will go down with it, and sometimes the bubbles will stay in the high part of the line. So when I'm doing this, I like to artificially manipulate the line so that the highest point is the reservoir. and then the bubbles will hopefully kind of come up when it's just sitting there. So you essentially make it so that it can just gravity feed, and then as long as you do not let any air go into the hole up in the reservoir, so in other words, it never sucks air, it's generally going to be mostly fluid going all the way down there. Then you seal it up, and then you do a series of, whether it's like, back bleeding, which is more of a brake technique, but you can also do it with the slave master cylinder by compressing it with your hands, squeezing that piston back in and then pumping it back up. And so you're, and a lot of times you can just pull it off the case and you can just squeeze it. It doesn't take much finger pressure to pump the lever and kind of pump it back and forth. And a lot of times that will work or push the bubbles back up. I've used all of the different fancy bleeders, and 9 times out of 10, if you have a little bit of time, you can do this. So I would fill up the reservoir, make sure it's just kind of pure fluid, nice new fluid coming out at the bottom, close it, let it sit. Maybe the first thing you do before you pump it at all is push backwards. It might squirt a couple of bubbles out. The reservoir has the capability in some of the chambers and stuff in there by the piston to hold a little bit of air. It's not bad to kind of do it really slow in the beginning to see if some bubbles come out, and you're well on your way to having it 99% fixed. So and if for some reason you're having a problem, then there's something not allowing the piston up in the master cylinder to kind of return to full position or things like that. So, okay. And then we have Trent Zimmer says, Jimmy, I'm cleaning my power valve. What's your preferred method for getting the excess gunk off? Depends on what the gunk came from, Trent. If it's like, there's different types of 2-stroke oil and they leave different amounts of residue and stuff. A lot of times just some, like a Scotch-Brite pad or soaking it in some sort of a solvent will work, kind of depending on the oil. Ultrasonic cleaners tend to do a pretty good job in certain things. A lot of times I've just taken the parts and soaked them in like a simple green water solution overnight, and that'll really loosen the stuff up. If it's more aggressive, try brake cleaner or contact cleaner. Sometimes letting it sit in kind of a solution with that in it will definitely clean it up overnight. So that's my thing. The more time you have, the easier it's all going to do. Okay, back to our Vegas to Reno guys here. I have to go here. So I think I'm pretty close to having the video ready to go. So I'm going to get another story out of you, and then I'm going to figure out how to get it loaded up here. Actually, maybe I'll just do it while we're sitting here talking. So really, other than a little bit of difficulties just getting to a couple pits, which it's a point-to-point race, 500 miles long on course. I don't know, what did your vehicles do roughly to get there? Probably close to 500 miles as well.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I mean, we had to run way out in the middle of nowhere out to Gabbs. There's several different routes they take, and they leave. They left. The bikes left Dayton. Mike, you went to Weeks, and then you went from Weeks to the Top Gun Raceway on Highway 95 there south of Fallon, and then it goes out to a place called Rawhide, which is 30 miles out in the middle of nowhere, and then headed south down to Gabbs. So,
and did Johnny have a guy for you out there? He had a remote pit for you.
I took it from Top Gun after Mike got off. I think it was a 45 mile run. I was at Top Gun. The remote
you guys
pit.
Drove a vehicle out there.
Well, we couldn't get one out there, so Johnny's crew was waiting for me. He told me they're going to be waiting for me. Of course, his son had already been through there. His team had already been through there, but they gassed me up, topped me off, tapped me on the head, and let me go. They did a great job.
That's all you want is at a pit.
That's all I wanted.
Yeah, and then I was waiting for him at Gabbs. I left the hotel in Reno at 5 o'clock in the morning and got to Gabbs an hour before Bill. So it was a pretty good drive.
Yeah, so it's like kind of they have it all set up so you're able to leapfrog. Usually it's better to have 2 vehicles, and you guys did have 2. You had 2 separate vehicles.
We had 3.
We had 3 actually.
Okay.
Yeah, our strategy, Jimmy, was kind of, we got really lucky. We thought it was going to be super hot this year, right? It wasn't bad. So Mike did a 2-section at the beginning. I did 2 sections. Dean did 2 sections. And then the last 6 pits, we were going to leapfrog ahead of each other and do, a 40, 50 mile run in case it was getting too hot. But that's what we did until Mike missed his one pit that we did a audible call, and we covered you, and then you covered me on the pit, and we're good.
Mike, it's all your fault.
It is. Myself and Doug, my chase driver, we drove right past the sign and didn't see it. And we got to pit number 10, and we were supposed to be at 9. So, whoa. So we got on the phone and lucked out that Bill and Mike, the other chase driver, were just getting to 9 and said, "Hey, dude, how about just jumping on, and I'll jump on when you come bring it to me."
Yeah, and luckily, that it's not a pre-run race, so it's not like a section you spent all this time pre-running and figuring out.
Well, no, not at all.
Yeah, you're just kind of, it's like everybody's kind of getting on and doing their own thing. So if it was a section that you pre-ran and you put somebody that never pre-ran, I could see where that could be a little bit more of a problem. Oh,
that's pretty complicated, Jimmy. No, it's simple. It was desert. And
yeah.
Well, you got to pay a price for that, Mike. Actually, if you think about it, is that you were the first guy to get caught by a trophy truck. And
my God.
Had you not missed your pit, that would have been Bill out there instead of you.
Yeah, this is a whole nother discussion. And I was actually thinking about a scenario the other day to present to people, because I'm totally against having bikes and trucks on the same course. Like when I was doing the race direction at Nora, that was something I really strived to do. This last year we had trucks catching bikes, and I had to pull off more than half of our competitors because I didn't want it to happen. And so yeah, I've got a scenario for that, but generally you can kind of hear them coming, but sometimes not, especially on the faster roads. But Dave Donnelly wants to know, so how did you guys finish? Well, Dave, if you go to dirtbiketest.com and watch the videos, they talk about this. So we should just keep it a secret, right? We don't want to talk about where you finished.
Okay.
Don't pay attention. Don't pay attention to any trophies sitting in the background or any other stuff. But what we do want to know, let me see if I can get this thing going here. I'm going to see if I can get the video going here, and I got to find up here, and I'm going to make, here we go. Let's see if we can play this now. See if I can make this work. We're going to watch the video that they have here. How many minutes is this one now? 10. Okay.
Nothing better than a racy Honda.
Doug's at the start.
Ready to go.
Yeah, if you guys want to add commentary to this, go ahead.
Well, that's at like it says 5:15 a.m. and before the start. And now this is
one of my favorite parts.
Yeah, this is a good spot.
Because you just go right down the tunnel, right?
Yeah,
go right down
that's
that tunnel.
Boom. That's me going in the tunnel. Now they had warned us about.
I don't think you're in the tunnel yet.
No, you weren't in the tunnel.
Yeah, but hold on. That's definitely worth a little bit of a rewind, I think. I don't like to point out. We got to pull it back just a tad there. Yeah, here we go.
Pick up that.
I know exactly where this tunnel is, by the way.
yeah. So do I for some strange reason.
Just hit it in third gear and go over that. Whoops.
Did you put a dent in it? That's the important part.
I ripped the seat cover. That's what I did there. So, Mike, we got to replace that seat cover. But yeah, I mean, they had warned us about that tunnel, and when I saw it coming, I go, I'm just going to hit it, right? I'm not going to do anything fancy. I'm just going to hit it. And just as I did, I let it flame out, and I swear. I tell a story in one of the later videos about how there was a guy in a quad sitting behind me, revving it up, waiting to get past me. Like he was telling me, hurry up, with, revving it like Martian.
Yeah.
Played that video back, there's no quad there. And I'm going, where
then that guy that was on their side didn't come to help or anything?
No, but yeah, I mean, but
miraculously,
I would say,
that,
looking back,
that's the only time
best,
I hit the ground.
impression for me is the bike was solid.
Unlike,
You know, Dean,
I
there's something
couldn't-
on your
I
left
was
side.
super excited
Your
and
hand
surprised
fits
how
around it
stable
really
it
nicely. It's
was.
called a clutch.
Because it was the highest speed.
Pull that clutch
Turns
in
out,
and,
when I look
you know,
back and I look at my
it
guy,
doesn't
I
stall
had my
as easy.
phone on
Just
me.
say- just so
I
you know.
tracked all 3 of my rides.
you know,
and
I'm
my
still
highest
learning.
speed was 82 miles an hour. Now,
One of these days, I
granted,
hope
it
I'm
was
dressed
only
out of
for
a
a
novice
second.
class.
But
Well, Jimmy, you were
I
talking
was
too about
just
this video we're
excited
doing.
that the
We're trying to
bike
do
was
a
super
before, how we got
stable.
ready.
Oh, hold
Johnny
on a
was
second.
with
Wait a minute.
Denver,
I
was it
think
the geometry,
your
was it-
sound might not
I
be
don't
running
know,
into
but
the
it just
show at
was.
this
And
moment.
it
Let me
was
see if I can fix
plush.
that. I can probably mess
makes
it up,
my
but
bike feel
I
like
could
Yeah, but
also.
there is no sound on the
piece
video.
of junk.
Okay, I'm
which
gonna try to
bummed
fix
about
that right
because the good
now.
Suspension is so impressive.
Uh-oh.
And the motor was just linear and
Don't
had
do
everything
that,
right.
whatever I just did there.
If
Look,
I
you
needed
passed
to-
somebody.
if I
Holy
got
shit,
into
Dean,
some
you passed
silt and it
somebody.
slowed me down. You just downshift and let that
I
thing
had to put
pull
that in.
and get
Man,
back into
yeah.
top gear. And
Have you guys not watched the video? Thanks,
faster than
guys.
I
Yeah, I
wanted to
watched
go.
it.
And fun, really fun.
You mentioned downshifting. I noticed that when I
Yeah,
downshifted,
this is not a high
I
speed
think the bike
section.
settled better for me because if I tried to
Well, it
ride
wasn't
in a
me.
higher
All
gear
kinds of
and
different
lug it,
lines.
it felt slightly more unstable to
yeah.
me, and I think that has to do with
Left
Uh,
side,
yeah,
middle, right
preload
side.
on the shock. Because when you're in the
I
lower
got
gear and
off the
you're
course there
gassing it,
somehow too. I don't
it
know
tends
how, but
to squat a little bit
up here
more.
just before
And we
the
had
cut,
messed with the high-speed dampening.
I ended up on a
for
single
Bill.
trap.
So
the,
Bill, we turned the high-speed
where'd the course go?
dampening. We tightened
I
it for
had no
you
idea how I lost the
because
course in this
you're
easy of a section.
230 with all your gear on.
You
I'm
know,
180.
overall, it wasn't any
185
problem
with my
staying on
gear
course.
on.
I'm
And
180.
yeah,
180
Except for in two
same.
places.
probably
I
about
did get lost for about
185,
15 minutes.
And I think
which
that
will be in a
extra
subsequent
that
video.
extra turn
I'm gonna
on
show
the,
that.
High speed.
And
on the high
right here,
speed,
where all of a
coming out
sudden
another half turn after we
I'm
turned it
on
into
a-
you
on a
probably
single
wasn't
track,
enough for
which
me. So I
is
found
off the
myself
course
leaving
because
it
the trucks have to make it through.
one
So
gear
there was
low
no
and
single track
grabbing
on the
it,
course,
so it was
except for the one I
torquing
found.
rather than loping, right? And that,
And,
other than that, that's the
but,
only thing that I would have to add to what you said.
Yeah, I
about
mean,
the bike.
during this whole part of the video,
It was
we're
a
kind
high.
of talking
I mean,
about our
as I look
impressions of
back
the
at the
bike.
experience, and it was a great experience.
Talk about the
The high
suspension, how it
point
worked for
was
us.
the bike
motor.
was just solid all day.
Well, let's talk about the
And
tire
the
selection
speeds
that
were-
Johnny put on
we
there.
We do Idaho Desert races.
Pirelli.
and we
Hold
get into
on, you guys,
60
because
or
right
on
now
sand
your
washes.
audio is actually
A
not
lot,
making,
but
only the
to
video audio is coming
constant,
on.
50, 60
And
plus
so
miles
I'm
an hour.
trying to diagnose this.
Those
with,
mile tickets would go by like flashcards.
Okay.
And
See if I
the
can make
miles
this
would go
better.
so fast. So that was exciting and surprising to me. That's a takeaway from a race like this: is how fast you're going, and how fast you get to your next
Okay,
pit.
I'm gonna try
Wow.
and see.
Yeah,
There we
And it
go.
was fun.
way fun. What do you think, Bill?
Well, I got on after Mike. I got on at Top Gun and proceeded to do whatever it was, 80 miles, 90 miles, and bike, unbelievable. As we all said, you know, I'm the heaviest guy, so Johnny taught us to turn in that high speed a half. He told me to try a whole, but the half did pretty good, and the bike kind of lifted up for me and gave me everything. Not once did I worry about the stability and the suspension. In fact, I was in 3 oh shit moments. In the oh shit moments, I'm the one that cased the rim. I hit something and the bike deflected, but I kept the gas on and straightened out. And I'm starting to be a true believer in great suspension can save your ass. And I know I had 3. I did push the forks down all the way to the end. I felt it hit one time when I hit. You know, we had the monsoon washouts, and you're going high speed down the road, and all you see is what went across there, and you see a 12-inch, 15-inch lip. And I was like, oh shit. Sometimes I hit it with the front, sometimes I lifted up the front wheel, hit it with the back. But every time I did it, I go, wow, bike just stayed right where it's supposed to stay. And I was amazed at that. I was amazed at how plush that suspension progressive it was, even for me at my weight compared to you guys. And Mike, you
Gonna
and I
make
talked
another
about that when we were
pass.
driving about, you know, we jump off our bikes. We get so used to our bikes that are
He
set up
gave
for
it to
just us. And I'm a tall guy, and I weigh a lot, so I do a lot of things to my bikes different than your bikes, but we get on a different bike, and we have to get comfortable with it right away. And this thing was so easy. so easy to get comfortable with it. I never, other than you bending the brake pedal, I remember my foot going, man, how come that brake's so far out? Other than that, I never had to think about the bike. The bike did what the bike was supposed to do and more. And when we look back and we debrief on this thing, that's pretty impressive.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and pause there. Go ahead. You can go ahead and talk there and see if you come through now.
Okay.
Dean, you had a couple nice spots there. You passed a guy?
Is it, are you guys hearing it on the video now?
No, we still hear the video.
You only hear just the video. Yeah.
No, I'm not hearing the video at all.
Well, right now, because I paused it. So let's see if we keep talking, see if it comes through on the video.
I do have a couple thoughts, being a pit guy, about the bike.
I think
great. Let's hear it.
Never riding.
We'll see. I can't tell. I know they can hear me because my sound's coming through, but I'm not sure if us talking on the meeting right now is coming through.
From the pit perspective, we're really worried about tracking.
Yeah, I'm not hearing, even when the video's running, I don't hear the video.
And the one thing that I noticed about this bike in particular was the GPS unit was and I thought
you're not hearing the video at all.
Any other bike,
you do. You can hear
a lot of room.
You can hear the video, but not
so that if you want to put
not us talking or not. You can hear me talking, but not you guys talking.
In this case, for best in the desert,
this is where a real professional podcast, not a grand influencer, would know how to push the button and figure it out.
It bolts right on. The mount is right there on the triple clamp, and that was really important. So I thought that was great on the bike.
Okay, so what do we got going on here?
We're taking this off to mount is this the GPS unit?
Don't lose stuff.
It's my job to drop the equipment.
You're doing a wonderful job.
Yeah, I'm good at it. I'm gonna put this bolt in my pocket.
Yes, it's probably a good idea.
Here's I'll take the other
give
bolt.
it to me.
Did you buy this new?
So okay, we'll just kind of pause it right there. So I don't know if on the output if we're hearing everybody talking, but we're watching the take on the bike after the 500-mile race, which is up on your guys, which is Old Pro Racing YouTube channel. So if you guys want to go watch that, I will link this up onto Dirt Bike Test, so it kind of goes up there, and it's kind of them giving their kind of impression, sort of raw right after the race, how the bike worked out. So anything I know. It would have been funny if everybody could have heard us talking about the ride into the wall, and then as I'm watching this, here's just me. I'm like going, "Oh, you missed that! Oh, that was a turn." From knowing a couple of those things. But did you end up passing that guy that after that missing that turn?
Oh yeah, I passed him.
Yeah,
I wouldn't have put it in the video if I hadn't passed him. With my friends, you don't want to leave anything like that to doubt, right?
Right.
So,
but anyways, let's see what else we have here. I think we have some questions. Oh, it's Cody says I can hear the voice and everyone talking. Like you can hear it now, but when the video is playing, could you hear that? So at this point, I'm gonna talk real quick to Trent. He says he's about his power valve cleaning. He's using an ultrasonic cleaner with a ZEP. He's maybe got 50% of the way off. So yeah, let it sit overnight, and that'll make a big difference. The other question you have from Tucson Dawn says, "Howdy, I bought a 26 YZ450 FX. Good job, Blue Crew." There we go. This show is brought to you by Yamaha, along with a bunch of other sponsors that help us get this done. Hair scrambles and single track and love it, but it has a tendency to overheat even with the GYTR fan. Hell, what else can I do to keep the temps down? And P.S., I'm not going slow. So Tucson Dawn, I would wager more than I can afford to lose that the reason it's heating up is because you are using the clutch to reduce the power. And a lot of people disagree with me when I tell them this. And I say, I can prove you wrong if you would just A, trust the torque of your motorcycle and quit using it, but B, make a real concerted effort to not use the clutch. And if you're worried about stalling, downshift. And because the majority of engine heat, especially in faster stuff, is generated from guys that are kind of using the clutch. I ride mine all the time in, higher speed, hot desert terrain, and I've never had it overheat at all, and I don't use the clutch. So that would be my first. Thing to recommend. Try doing the clutch. If not, at that point, you can go to some different things. Like there's different coolants you can use. I use some stuff called water wetter. I don't use like the Evans or those complete coolant replacement stuff. I like to use stuff that I can, if I have to pee back on the radiator to make it work, I like to be able to do that. But anyways, I use this stuff called water wetter that helps a little bit, but it's never going to replace trying to keep the motor down. So Dave Donnelly, we were 4 over 60 expert teams and we got second place. Oh, Bill, you gave it away. Felt bad for the poor guy. And so Tucson Don says that actually makes perfect sense. Well, thank you, Tucson Don, because I have the habit of answering 9 out of 10 questions without referring to a reference manual. Of course, you got your answer for exactly what you paid for it, for free. Always remember that. And Jimmy Cromwell says he's ending his birthday watching Tech Talk Taco Tuesday. Well, happy birthday. I'm glad we could deliver some, I don't know, enjoyment, pain, suffering. At least the sound works tonight. So on the show tonight, we have our old pros over 60 team that raced the Vegas to Reno, Mike Daugherty, Bill Daugherty, and Dean Taylor. And we're going to kind of watch the last couple minutes of their video here. Hopefully they're not dropping parts on the ground.
No, this little mount up, dude. That mount is
hold on.
Where did this mount come from?
That's what I'm saying. It is.
He's airborne.
Yep, I'm flying through the air. This is not good.
Loaned us.
Here we go.
Here's the washers. But
I'll play that again.
But
everybody gets embarrassed around here.
So I had to go buy one this morning.
I was going to say, how come the washers are different?
I don't think we're going to need those bolts or those nuts. These are threaded.
Or they're threaded?
Yeah, that's
those.
the
Okay,
GPS
those are threaded on the.
Okay.
But you might want to put the nut on the other side anyway, just for safety.
If it comes all the way through, I bought blue Loctite, so we have blue Loctite
Yeah.
also.
Because we don't want it falling off.
Yeah.
The airbox setup was perfect. How Mike's set up the to pull the filter cover.
The filter skin.
The filter skin. It was perfect. So there's a couple little features for guys that are racing or even just play riding. The bike has some fit and finish aspects to it that, from my perspective, are really nice.
When did we pull the filter skin?
I pulled it.
It was around race mile 400.
Was it around 400?
Yeah.
We went
And
that
did you
far.
pull it all the way out, right?
Yeah, that puppy just went right out the
Mike
back.
made
I
it
wish
way-
I would have saved it.
It was in my truck.
I threw it in somebody's truck.
We were
It was
talking
in my
about the
truck.
filter skin.
Yeah, so anyways, we've got another video coming up. Oh, here.
In the mix. Welcome, boys, to the finish
There we
line
go.
of the 2026 Vegas to
made it.
Reno. How was that?
It was fantastic. We had a great time. We had a great
Smile say it all.
Yeah. We're probably the oldest team on here. I'm 69 years old. He's 68 years old, and we just ran 505 miles across the desert.
Well, that was exciting.
Yeah, so there's your video. Like I said, I'll link that up on Dirt Bike Test and keep adding to the collection as we go along. But kind of to roll it back and think about kind of the reason for doing it is just kind of like to just give people a little taste of, hey, what is it like to have a really well prepped bike? I think you guys explained that nice in the video, and then just kind of going through the, we talked on a couple podcasts before about just some sort of race strategy or just common sense things that we think it's common sense. But then when I was out there kind of watching some guys go in and out of pits, and I'm like, why, when you're in 20th place, are you skidding into the pit, almost crashing into your crew, making them move down to where you finally stopped, and then spilling, throwing a temper tantrum sometimes, and then roosting your pit crew after you take off? Did you get to watch any of this?
Yeah.
No.
Go ahead.
No, we have our pit stops were pretty well planned. We didn't do anything stupid.
No, not your guys. We briefed you on this.
You got to remember, we're over 60. We don't get too excited about that stuff.
Yeah, I was talking about some. You got to be around some of the amateur teams.
Oh yeah. I think he's asking if we witnessed any of that, Bill.
I didn't see any.
Yeah, well,
but I believe you're probably right. I mean, you got a 25-mile-an-hour speed zone coming in. You can't come in hot, and you're going to get penalized if you go out hot. So they're not even thinking.
Oh, I like I said, the one pit I was at, and they were only going 25, but they tried to do it like a Formula One pit stop.
Yeah.
And they're not Formula One drivers.
Right.
Like I said, skid right past where the guy's standing there with the dry brake, and he has to walk 5 steps to go put it in. And then, there's stuff. And, the worst one. And if you watch the pro teams, the rider is off the bike before it comes to a stop. He'll actually kind of hop off and side saddle and be, it's something they practice just like anything. And so I was just kind of, you guys are on a little bit of a different pace at that point, but when you kind of watch some of the other teams come off and the guy's going to get off the bike and he's still sitting on the bike when the dry brake goes in, and then he has a hard time getting off because, and then knocks the bike out of balance. Dry brake starts spilling fuel all over the place because nobody's holding the bike.
Hey, Dean, tell him our process. It went really well for all of us. Tell him what we do.
Yeah, I mean, we came in and we rehearsed it. We come into the pit, whatever side the truck or the pit was on, where the gas can was sitting, the rider got off of the other side and held the bike with one hand, held the handlebar with one hand, and dry brake, in and out, guy gets on and rides away. I think we had pits that lasted 30 seconds.
What about the communication?
Communication, yeah. I mean, as we came in, it was bike's running great, nothing wrong. Watch out because there's a lot of cross grain, or there's ruts, or it's muddy, or whatever. I don't remember a single word about anything being wrong with the bike whatsoever over the whole 500 miles. So it was just, it's going great. Be careful, have fun, don't get hurt.
And you guys did the whole race on single set of Pirelli tires.
Single set of Pirellis, yes.
Yep.
First time I'd ever ridden with a rally tire, and I personally couldn't tell the difference between the best knobby I've ever ridden and that Pirelli rally tire was phenomenal. It was just as good.
If you're going in a straight line, this is true. They're generally pretty good at going in a straight line. They have a little bit different character when they slide. Uh-huh. And then you guys rode for the first 150, 200 miles. It was wet and or muddy.
The Pirelli rally tire was garbage in the mud.
Well, compared to like a mud tire or something like that, but it's not gonna work. They're like I said, they're designed a lot for durability, and it's even when it's brand new, they're never going to be as good as like a tire with a taller knob block and a different kind of shape and pattern to them.
Yeah,
but it was the same. It was the same tire that Preston and Skylar rode. They went through 2 rears. Of course they're spinning a little bit more, but it didn't really. I mean, at the end of the race, when I looked at your tires, they didn't really look that bad. I was kind of surprised at how nice the front one was. Yeah, and how come he didn't?
The northern half of Nevada, because of all the rain, we had some mud holes, and Mike, you had the water, and it was slippery. It was tough in the mud. But the second half of the race, southern Nevada, was dry, and that was a perfect tire. I mean, on the dry pan, rocks, and just going, it was perfect.
Yeah, essentially what it's designed for.
Right.
So, let's see. What do we say here? Kenny says the shadow capture in the video is gold. What is that? That's beyond my technical skills here.
The shadow capture. I don't know. I don't know what he's talking about.
Explain. See, and he says those young Gen Xers.
Boomer. I'm a boomer here.
Boomers.
He's probably talking about when I was talking about the kids coming skidding into the pits, not for me to throw a knife in or wrench in the spokes, I guess, as they like to say. Yeah. So anyways, this podcast not be helped without some of our sponsors: Bulletproof Designs, Tugger Straps, Yamaha, Takomoto. We're going to do Roosterendo tonight, believe it or not. I've got one. We have a winner. because I have one entry. So just think about that. If you would have sent your bike in for Roosterendo, we could have had a contest, but now it's just going to be a giveaway. Of course, there's Fuck You Racing. Hey, this shirt I'm wearing, this shirt that I'm wearing right now, we're not happy until you're not happy. There's going to be a drop on this shirt. I will tell you right now. I have the information about this, I think. Do I have the information? Oh, yeah, here we go. So you want to go to www.fahqrcng.com. There's letters missing in there for obvious reasons. That's rcng, no A. On Saturday morning, September 5th, if you want to have this particular jersey, the Fuck You Racing We're Not Happy t-shirt and Fuck You Racing, not available in stores. So just in case you wanted to know.
I gotta have one.
The we're not happy till you're not happy. and I got it. Oh, I can't take it off because I got my earphones on. I got a hat that has another real interesting saying on top of it. If you want to zoom in and look at that, that's on you. I think it's the I'll check it, see what the hell it says. What does it say again? Oh, it says Mom's Worry. This is the Las Vegas, Nevada chapter. Yep. Only Jerry can do that. And the segment where you pay me to not read an excerpt from his latest book, Kids That Lived. I have one picked out. I have a poem here that's picked out that I could, just do a little reciting, and we'll see how that goes. Okay, so any other special information that we should know about your race, how things went? I want to know why your riding coach beat you.
Yeah, Miller. They cheated.
Yeah, that guy.
They cheated. We were definitely the best team out there. Wouldn't you guys agree?
I think we're better looking, Dean. I think we're better looking than Jeff and his team, but they were a little bit faster this time.
Oh, were they? Yeah, I mean, Jeff's a great rider. He put together a great team. We rode to the best of our ability, and we all wanted to come home in one piece. What other excuse can I make? I am 9 years older than their average age, so that doesn't help. If you figure I lost 1% for every year I got older than those guys.
Yeah, and so just tell everybody, warn us of when you hit 60, which that might happen pretty soon here. I got a couple of years, but warn us about what happens when you go from 60 to 70 in your riding ability.
So I mean that's an interesting question, because when I race, I don't feel any slower than I did when I was 30. I think it's just the fact that as you get older, your brain and your neurons and your nerve, they just don't transmit as fast. So even though things are happening slower because I'm going slower, in my brain, it still takes the same amount of time to process, if that makes any sense. I'm not a doctor. I'm making that kind of just shooting from the hip there, but
But you're on a podcast, so you can say whatever you want. It'll be AI will decipher it. You just shouldn't have said you weren't a doctor, because it might think you were.
Yeah. But for me, I honestly think, I can hit that triple. I can go just as fast now, and I am going as fast as I was then, but the lap times tell a different story. Yeah. It's weird. I don't know, Bill, Mike, you guys, what do you think?
Well, I find it funny, Dean, because you're 69, I'm going to be 68. Mike's a young buck at 64, but the difference is Vegas to Reno race, there's times you're 6 speed tapped out, right? But at our age, you start thinking about, if I go down doing 75 miles an hour across this lake bed, this isn't going to be pretty. And so you start really paying cautious. If you're younger, that never comes into your head.
Okay, wait a minute. I got to roll back, because I like to keep everything super factual and everything. So 6th gear topped out. So at the finish line, we were discussing the transmission. Do you remember this, bro? we were discussing the transmission, and you were wishing that it had a 6-speed.
That was actually me.
It's Dean. Okay.
More than once I pulled up on that gear shifter going, I've got to have another gear, but it was in 6th.
So I was kind of first because I looked at it and just I'm like, wait, did Johnny give you guys an RX, not an X? And I always kind of thought it was an X, but when you do the RX or when you do the X, it gets the RX gas tank when you go to larger capacity one. Mm-hmm. So it has different looking shrouds. And I remember seeing that bike in the shop and it said RX on it. So I was just a little bit confused. And I'm like, no, I'm pretty sure you guys got it's an X. And so anyways, we went and clicked through the transmission and so, being the try to make sure that everything looks good. Of course, the show is brought to you by Yamaha. So why would I say good things about a Honda? I just said, look, the thing's so damn fast, it needs a 7th gear.
There were a couple of places out on that course when I was wide open in 6th gear and I reached down for 7th. And I thought to myself, I can't be in 6th, right? But I was. And I think that may be a testament to the bike too.
At some point I remember there was a discussion, I know whether it was on video or where it was, but you did talk about top speed. And I know for a fact that bike goes plus 100. It goes 100 plus. Probably, I don't know if it's like, Preston and Skylar's bike that went 114 or something, which is pretty fast for a 450. But I'm pretty sure that thing goes south of 100, and I didn't hear any quotes of over 100 miles an hour.
No, you didn't.
Because so it went, and this I just like pointing this out to people. Sorry, because BM Echo wants to know what size sprockets you guys were running, and I'm pretty sure you guys were 1448.
Yeah. I think it was probably a 1448. I mean, I go downstairs and look at the bike. It's in my house, by the way, downstairs. But
in the house.
It is in the house. My wife, anyways, she's not happy, but it's in the house. It's a 1448. And I carried my Garmin, my InReach, and the top speed on my Garmin was about 84.
Yeah. So when and people always just like, I was going wide open as fast as it was go. Well, you may have been going wide open, but you weren't at peak RPM, right. Or you weren't really wide open. You felt like you were wide open, or you didn't hold it wide open long enough to get it up to peak RPM. And this is like you said, you guys felt like you were running out of gear. I'm pretty sure that Johnny had that thing set up, kind of knowing what and everybody gets so screwed up by overgearing their bike to the point that when you roll it on, like what you're doing most of the time, it is actually net slower.
Yeah.
Because if you gear it super tall and you when you roll it on, it just takes forever to get up there. And a lot of times the same guys that are rolling aren't actually banging the downshift they would need to do. So there is this kind of dynamic of running out of gearing. You think about how many times you ran out of gearing versus how many times you actually rolled the throttle on. Does that make kind of sense?
Yep.
Yeah, Mike, you talked about that, Mike. When we were on the bike, if you were in 5th gear kicking it up to 6, if you kicked it up too early, the motor was pretty linear, but you were not ripping it. You could kick it back down to 5th, put it right up in the top of the power band, and then try and squeeze it back into 6 when it'd pick up more speed.
Yeah, and then that's probably why it wasn't geared taller, because then you would have that gap where it'd be hard to bridge that gap. You kind of want to have, you always want to have the ability to use sort of 2-ish gears in any situation, and then that way the bike, then no matter where you are in the power band, it's going to pull good without requiring that, for the most part, requiring that shift. So, anyways, I was kind of hoping to see you guys crack 100, but I mean, maybe I'll slow down when I won't be able to talk like that when I'm your age.
Yeah, I'm pretty happy I didn't crack 100.
Yeah, it's see, I don't know. Speed never scared me, like the actual ultimate speed. It was just, can I see far enough to slow down? That's what, and when you were talking about some of the things you're saying, the experience is kind of coming at you quicker.
Yeah.
I totally get that. I mean, there's Like I was just riding around a motocross track and I have that sensation all the time. And I feel like I'm doing all the things. And then I realize quite quickly that I'm not. So,
yeah.
Okay. Well, thanks you guys for coming on. Keep pumping out those videos, getting all those views because you guys are grandfluencers.
Yeah. Thanks. I think we're averaging about 1,000 views a day so far. So that's not bad.
Yeah, no, it's a few people thinking. I asked Grok AI what kind of money you can expect being a grandfluencer. By the way, because everybody wants to be one. A lot of the kids in school, they say they want to be an influencer, but it's not their number one job pick. It's generally just something that they want to be, so they can, after they do their regular job, they can fall back into it. So where the heck was the percentage? Yeah, you can. The average grandfluencer makes roughly $3,000 annually. So I guess I'm killing it here over here at Tech Talk Taco Tuesday.
Wow, $3,000.
Yeah, you are.
Yeah. And
for a full year,
that's a year. That's an annual.
Yeah,
that's an annual
for
take.
A full year.
Yeah.
Dang, that might give 25% of a new bike.
Yeah.
So, yeah. 100 probably wasn't the gold, says the street sweeper.
Yeah.
And but he does say good job, team. So
Yeah.
awesome on that finish. And hey, I was more stoked at you guys when you came in. You all seemed like you had a really good time. It looked like, and when I saw, the only place I saw the bike riding was when Mike went by, and he was doing just fine, kind of cruising along, especially after being passed by trucks.
Yeah.
I wanted to go on a rant about trucks. On the same course, like Cameron Steele, who was physically leading the race overall, stopped for a down motorcycle rider.
Yeah.
And I don't know whether he physically lost the lead at that point. I really didn't talk to him too much about it, because I was actually speaking with one of the co-drivers, because you guys said your racing tracks never alerted you that you were going to be passed by a truck.
No,
it's supposed to beep at you when they push. There's a button they can push on it, and it's supposed to screech at you to let you know that someone's within a certain meters of range. I don't know if it's 300 feet. I'm not sure what their range is on that particular device. I've seen it work at rallies. I understand on some of the other systems exactly how they work. This one I don't know, but all I know was that it didn't seem like it was working. And then I was talking to that one girl co-driver who was sitting down right next to you guys at the finish when we were waiting to get up to the podium. And she's like, I pushed it every time and they just weren't getting out of the way. And I kind of believe her, because they don't want to run stuff over. But just imagine, and this is the scenario I kind of like to pose to people that are thinking about doing a race like this. And you guys were so close to not being caught. You're probably like 3 miles per hour average speed faster would have kept you in front of the trucks. Okay. But if you're like riding along and you're making a little bit of dust and one of these trucks is approaching you at the speed they go, let's just say they're going 115 miles an hour, which they go 140, but let's just say 115. And you can see them pinging on the tracker going that speed all the time. And you're doing your 84 miles per hour, whatever it is. So you're dealing with, at that point, a 30 to 40 mile closing gap speed. And let's say you're coming up behind somebody, you're in somebody else's dust. So and let's say that person crashes and falls down, and then you try to, you slow down or something for that. And that truck says, oh, great time to pass. 50% chance.
Yeah.
50% chance they go right over the top of, whoever's out there, the next guy. And this is what honestly scares me about those situations. And that's on a place where you can get out to go past. And you guys are talking about how the track kind of develops into a couple of ruts, from the it wasn't a race they did before. It was a pre-run that they did before, but it was enough to kind of dig a couple ruts. Once you get into those, sometimes it's not that easy to turn out. But there's also other times when you're riding, and let's say whether it's down in Baja and you're in a field of cactus, or there's a fence line that you're kind of stuck up against, or there's some sort of physical barrier to prevent you from getting out of the way. Well, in a lot of the racing over here, the code is if you don't get right out of the way in the car that's in front of you, they nerf them. I'm sure they're not gonna, most of them would not want to nerf a motorcycle, but they're pissed off every second that you're not getting out of their way, and it's not a recipe for safety in any way, shape, or form. So I've been kind of outspoken about it, and it's caused me to kind of step down from some opportunities and do some different stuff. Cause I mean, even at this race, there was a lot of debate about it. And luckily from what I understand, there was no injuries or something like that from that, but it just kind of scares me.
Hey, well, Jimmy, I can chime up and say I got passed by anywhere from 8 to 10 trophy trucks, and I heard most of them before it was time to exit course left and get the heck out of the way. One, I have to say kudos to one of them, and they were about number 4 or 5 that passed me. They had a siren, and I mean a siren that you'd hear from a fire engine, and I heard that, and it was freaking awesome, because by the time you hear their motors, they're on your butt huge. And it's freaking scary, especially like what you just said. Absolutely true. Sometimes it's a rocky situation, or you can't get off the course safely.
Yeah, and they're like I said, they're approaching it. The speed differential is so huge and it's not. It's not the top guys; it's the slow guys that are getting past. And evidently, they pulled off. They would not allow a whole bunch of racers to not continue at certain pits because they become too far back, and then it was going to be real problematic. I mean. Good for them for doing that, but man, how would you feel if you'd spent your $800,000 just in entry fees to go and do this race, and all of a sudden it's like, oh, you can't go any farther.
Yeah,
and that's not the necessarily the goal there, but yeah, difficult.
Yeah. And I got passed by 2. I rode the last 25 miles in. I got passed by 2 trucks. I didn't hear either one of them. I never got an alarm. I didn't know they were behind me until they passed me. I didn't even hear them coming up. So
hey, where I was out in the desert where I saw Mike go by, and once the first truck went by, every rider, and there's probably like, I don't know, from that point, there's probably like 7 or 8 riders between the first one that had been passed by the truck and then when Mike came by, rubbernecking. They were looking back as much as they were looking forward, and I'm sure it was some kind of scary moments. But yeah, that people are like, why don't they just race on 2 different days? If you dealt with the amount of volunteers and the costs of the people that are being paid there, i.e., medical staff and safety and road crossing, just things like this, they just shouldn't be racing on the same courses. As much fun as it is to go fast on a course like that, it's not really a motorcycle course.
That's true.
Yeah.
So, I wish there was a better solution for it. I'm sure, these tracking devices, I know they have the capability to make that thing better, but obviously that one didn't work, and that's a huge fail, in my opinion. And even if the trackers do work, it's like, how much time are you really able to look down at something? It needs to do an audible thing, and it needs to do it in enough time to give you plenty of time to be able to get yourself in a safer position for those vehicles to go hauling ass by you. And then what happens then is all of a sudden they start expecting that you're going to be pulled over or whatever. And imagine you're just slowing down and you hit that one big rock that you're trying to pull over and you bounce in front of the car. Because how far away from you were they when they passed?
The worst, Jimmy, I pulled over and fucking stopped. And the good news is the driver's buddy on the passenger side waved at me, but they went by at 5 miles an hour. But it was tight. There was nowhere to go.
Okay, yeah. But it wasn't more than a few feet away.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were maybe 2 feet when they went by me, the closest one, 2 feet to my left.
Yeah.
And at 30 miles an hour faster than I was going. Like I said, I didn't know they were there. I was trying to ride the crown right between the ruts and the silt. So I was trying to run straight down the middle, which is, had I slipped into that left rut when they went by, who knows?
Yeah, not good for them. Nope. If you're riding in the middle of the course.
Nope. But hey, Jim, I want to invite you to come race the cornfield race with us this weekend if you're not doing anything. We're going to the National Grand Prix in Preston, Idaho, where the farmer mows down his cornfield. And
have you ridden it before?
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Okay, you have.
It is a
So
blast.
you do know about the curbs and the uneven ground in the cornfields.
I didn't notice them.
Oh, did
Okay. What about it?
Well, I don't know. Just generally, I did, and I'm just talking for some people that raced it and stuff. There's a lot of undulations and curbs and stuff in those cornfields that it seems like the best thing ever, and then you realize it's like it's. I've raced across cornfields in like Iowa and a couple other places, and it was worse than UTV bumps. It was like, oh, this sounds like a great idea, but unless they go out and till it and everything like that, you're dealing with the bumps that are kind of out there.
Yeah, maybe he told. I don't know, Mike, Bill, you guys ridden it too, so
I thought it was a blast. Dude, you and I went handlebar to handlebar all the way through the cornfield. You passed me, I passed you. We just had a fun time.
Yeah, just so you tell everybody that I ended up winning, so that's all.
You can say whatever you need to get there. But anyways, thank you guys for joining in tonight. I appreciate it, and we'll look forward to a couple more of those videos, and we'll go up there again. Thanks to JCR Honda for prepping that bike and kind of supporting this whole project. And thanks to you guys. I'm glad you guys had a good fun ride, and just if anybody needs to get their bike kind of dialed in, there's of course JCR Speed Shop that makes a lot of little pieces and parts and stuff like that. They know how to get the bikes set up like that. And with that, we will see you guys out in the trail. So cheers. Thanks for coming on and joining us.
All right. Thank you. Thank you guys for everything too. We appreciate it.
Okay. Okay. Keeping on with the show here. We have, wonder what I have here. San Felipe Bob says old guys rule. That's nice, Bob. Thank you. And then, racing with buggies out there sounds terrifying. So let's see. I'm gonna mute these so we don't have any other issues on the call. I was going to what else was I going to do? I had some notes here someplace. I was going to compare the first moments of this show to Levi Kitchen's first lap on the motocross race this year, this thing, but I'll save that for later if I can remember it. I'm selling some motorcycles. I want to buy a new Tenere World Raid really bad. So I have a KTM 1090 and a KTM 1190 that are really well set up. I'm sorry. I'm keeping my 1090. I have two KTM 1190s that are very well set up that if somebody's looking for a good deal on a really well set up bike, hit me up. Let me know. Jimmy@dirtbiketest.com. But we need his and hers Teneres. My wife doesn't know that, but she will find out pretty soon that that's going to happen. But probably should sell some motorcycles in the short term. Also, again, if you are interested in a shirt that says "We're not happy till you're not happy," you can go to fuckuracing.com. If you can't spell it, just search it out on the Facebooks or something. There will be an official drop. Before I was going to give you a discount code or something like that, but there's no discount codes available. You just have to nut up and buy two, and maybe you can get two for the price of two. Good deals. I'm going to answer some YouTube questions because we have a YouTube community because I'm a grandfluencer. And I answer all of the questions that come at one shape or form or another because I don't have time to type all the answers out. I just do it here on this show. And on our 2026 Yamaha WR125 riding impression, of course, this is an off-road focused riding impression. Experience Pureness says the reason the WR125 isn't available in the U.S. because Japanese motorcycle dealers in the U.S. often refer to products available in Europe, where motorcycle regulations make 125cc bikes legal for beginners. In Southeast Asia, Yamaha offers the WR155 with similar features, but equipped with a 155cc engine, roughly 8 to 9 pounds lighter when converted to USD. It costs about $2,300. It's kind of sounding like this is a AI generated comment for some strange reason, but I know a little bit about this because I am going to do a modification to our WR125, and I went down the rabbit hole of bolt-on kits available down in the Asias, by the way. So don't be surprised if I get a really good kit with a bigger throttle body and a cam and you have to grind some stuff and cut some things, but it's no different than my XR100 days. Trust me. MT1885 says, I'm really curious if Kawasaki plans on a KDX 200 model or something similar to fill the gap between the KLX 300. I'm sure it would sell as I like the new KX 327X, but I'd like to have a 227 or similar with a 6-speed. I don't know what Kawasaki plans to do. I know they're planning on releasing that that 327 sometime soon too. They brought it out. They brought it out to Loretta's Lens and did a lot of starting it up and a lot of panic revs. And I've heard that people here have ridden it. So that was new news to me, but we haven't seen anybody riding it that's recognizable. Okay. So Patriot Logic is talking about our 450 off-road shootout and says, get a new scale, brother. He says, you are 260 to 280 pounds. He's talking about our test rider, Brent Farrell. He says, be honest, I'm 6'4", 250, and it's rare to have opinions of taller, heavier riders. Bike setups and ethos would be of interest. That's why we have a diverse group of guys riding bikes. Let's see. And Clippers 849 on our 450 off-road shootout says 90% of the time I'm touring behind my kids on 70cc bikes. What I would love to buy is a bulletproof air-cooled trail engine like a 500, but put in a properly engineered chassis like a modern 450. I bought a 2024 Honda CRF 450 RX, and it's amazing, but in reality, it doesn't want to ride slow behind the kids. And frankly, even by myself, it's way more than I needed. A CRF 500X or something, just air-cooled. Well, what's Clippers 849. I'll pass that along to Honda's R&D department. The crazy thing is I've believed the same thing for a long time. What you need to look at is maybe they don't really make a 450, but maybe some smaller ones, and you'd be amazed at how capable some of the 300 cc 4-strokes are. And some of the, I don't think too many of them are air cooled anymore because of, and it's all because of emissions. You can't get an air cooled bike to start and run efficiently, mostly start because it's, I don't know. Actually, I don't know why it wouldn't start, but with the fuel injection, it was better. I mean, it was hard to get them to start and be clean and be able to pass emissions. Like starting a motorcycle is very difficult to make it pass emissions because whether they're putting catalysts or however they're kind of cleaning that thing up. And I know off-road bikes technically don't have it, but generally off-road bikes are based off of something that's on-road. And look to China. China may be building you kind of the bike that you're looking for. I just don't think you're going to get the air-cooled thing because that is they're hard to. I think they run in such a wide. An air-cooled bike has the capability to run in such a wide temperature range without really serious stuff happening to it, i.e., boiling it out of the colon and dying. That it's just not. It's not feasible. It's easier to kind of control the motor temperature, which would help allow better fueling. Is my from a distance understanding of why some of that stuff is the way it is. So Canyon Horseman says, I have a 2020 KTM 85. Well, awesome, dude. He said hello as well. And Becky Parker threw up a T. I don't know what that is. Gary Drummond says, rumors of a 900 triple Tenere coming. Okay. I haven't heard that rumor, but sounds good. And Jennifer Morton wisely says an XR 400 for following the kids. I couldn't agree more, except he wants a modern chassis and probably electric start and probably fuel injection. And for all those reasons, it's not an XR400. But you're right. What are you doing? If you just didn't have any kids, then you wouldn't have this problem. Right? It's so nice being here in the studio all by myself, because half people would be yelling at me and the other half are laughing with me. So I'll just take the laughing with me. On to our 2026 Yamaha WR125R. It's the slowest bike I've owned, says D Green 462. I'm sorry. He says, and I love it. I catch myself grinning when the VVA flips on and I'm fighting at the top end of the revs. On road and off road, it's got the job done. It's helped me learn what my KLX 300 can really do off road. For now, all I want to take this on the trails is my WR125, and still a lot more riding to do. Great video. Thank you for that. We strive to only make great videos, and tomorrow we're going to drop our 2027 Yamaha YZ250F video. I haven't seen it yet. I'm pretty sure that Trevor is going to just put a bunch of clips of him shredding the Club MX facility, so we can just put all the other media content producers to shame. And then there'll probably be a picture of me bonking on some kind of a jump or something like that. Let's see here. The GYTR heavy flywheel tested for a YZ450FX, and Lean It 5756 says, I have a 2025 WR450F, and my gosh, the forks are just stupid harsh and small stuff, washboards, etc. Something else Yamaha should seriously consider. So my question to you is, we're testing a heavy flywheel and you want to know about the forks being stupid harsh. I'm not going to be harsh on you, but yeah, I can't. I tried to get Tommy Norton on the show. Yeah, that Tommy Norton, the guy who won the Blackwater 100 on a KTM 125 back in the day, because he's racing a Yamaha WR in the woods, and I wanted to talk to him a little bit about his suspension setup and stuff like that. I will get him on the show so we can talk about that, but don't ask us in our heavy flywheel impression, because forks and flywheels are a little bit far apart, although I will tell you that flywheel has an effect on the way your forks feel. So there we go. On our 450 comparison, Michael's Shoopy 2603 says, no beta, no husky, but you test a Triumph? He says, not a test. No, it's a test. We just didn't include the beta or the husky, because the husky's a lot like the KTM probably, and KTM isn't exactly handing out a whole lot of bikes, and I'm not really sure why we couldn't get a beta, but we couldn't, and we didn't have a Ducati. So if there's no Ducati, then it's not a test either, right? Or what about, like, why didn't we get one of those Chinese 450s? There's a lot of stuff we could do, and I always tell people, Michael Shoopy 2603, is if you don't like the way we do it, then you should do it. Because like my shirt says, we're not happy until you're not happy. It's the way it works. Tonight, by the way, Contigo. Just in case you're looking on the emergency cam, this is a fine one. Tequila Master Premium. It says so right on the label. A fine sipping tequila that I picked up when I was down in Cabo San Lucas, which is not known for tequila, but they do have some good shops down there. So cheers and thanks you to my buddies down there that find the good shops and hook me up. Let's see here. There's some beefy flywheels for the YZ125 and YZ250. I'd love to ride either bike equipped. And Redwood Riot is talking about our GYTR heavy flywheel. I love it when people comment on the videos, even if they say stuff that isn't related to it. So, yeah, where's my next question? Oh, there's a little discussion on this one. Let's see. I didn't pay attention to this, but now Steve Mathis 4325 is commenting on our videos. I'm sure it's him, because there's nothing. He has nothing better to do than watch dirt bike test videos. It says the new Honda 450 engine is claimed to be much lighter, but it's now much less reliable. Lewis Phillips has reported that the Honda 450s are barely able to get through a 30-minute moto without the rider being fearful of the engine failing. That's on our 2027 Honda First Impression video. And CRF 125RR says, highly doubtful. Haven't heard that once. Plus, it's a Honda. They wouldn't ruin that reputation. They're known for their reliability and rider triangle. I highly doubt they released a bike that has a hard time completing one race. And then our good friend Steve Mathis 4325 says, again, he says, Lewis Phillips from Vital MX has a close relationship with Jeffrey Hurlings. Lewis talks about the problems with the Honda on his latest MXG podcast. The problem could be with the new lighter engine and parts failing prematurely. So we have basically, and then someone says, why are you posting this all over the place? Do you have some sort of agenda or being paid by someone? And it says, somebody else says, it seems like you're going out of your way to post this without any reliable data. So I would actually like to see, I'm going to check I like to do this every once in a while. I like to go in there and, so it's this Steve Mathis. He's big. He has 19 subscribers and he's posted 5 videos. Good times. Welcome to the Pulp MX review show, everybody. Hey, they do a good. Steve does a really good job over there. He does a good job doing what he does, which is entertaining you with the moto news and stuff like that, but not really diving in on the test thing. So I guess you've made it when people start using your name and your image in the logo as a way to comment on videos. I'm waiting for Dirt Bike Test Jimmy to be now commenting on everybody's videos and telling them that their bike's going to blow up. I tell you what, I did state when I saw that the new Honda 450 is 10 pounds lighter. That's 10 pounds less motorcycle. And I've had a lot of people that have been in the industry for a long time and have seen over the years when bikes make big weight drop gains that stuff has to go someplace. And whether the weight, the mass was needed for whatever, or it's taken away from areas that could be critical, it's a good question. Only time will tell. And even Yamaha lightened up some stuff in their new 250 motor. Again, time will tell, but they do extensive durability testing on this stuff. And they, like the one commenter says, they wouldn't release it if they didn't think it was going to work. But we have here we go. Robbie Boy Bobby Roy says on our 450 shootout. So what I'm taking away from this is that the KTM suspension is better for anyone who rides East Coast off-road or anywhere that is true off-road rather than the desert trails that are wider than a motocross track. Let's see. What do you take? I'll tell you what, the KTM suspension just generally is set up. I believe that on their FX bike, it's set up with a little bit more of a East Coast bias than some of the other ones. Yamaha has been working on that. I know that with the FX because they've been introducing the bikes back there and letting us do riding impressions back there, where the WR even more so was able to kind of handle those type of things. And as everybody knows, that Kayaba suspension has just been killing it the last 5, 6, 7 years. It's just been better, but the KTM stuff is also improving, and I think they're essentially I would just say that their target is a little more set up for that type of thing. So I'm going to go into the questions right now that you guys are popping up in the chats. It says B Mecco says, you probably already talked about it, but did you see the adventure bike class at Romaniacs this year? It was insane. I have not talked about it. I did not necessarily see it, but I have seen it. I think it's ridiculous, but good on all the people that go out there and try to do the wrong things with the wrong bike. It does show kind of the capability of it. It makes for great videos and stuff like that, but unfortunately, see, when I back when I was riding rallies, BMW would race a twin cylinder bike in Dakar because it actually was really good at doing that kind of a race, but that bike was nothing like the production bike. But it spoke to their durability and their reliability for the same reason Honda would race down in Baja to show the durability of Honda products. Specifically, they would use an XR back then. And so there's marketing. The adventure bike, like this year, I think that I don't know which brand. Was it Cove or one of the brands actually brought some smaller, CF Moto, I think it was. Got some really good riders on smaller bikes and just dominated it. And so now they're building specific bikes for these events, which it's not an adventure bike anymore. It might have the shape of it, but it's not what you would want to go ride on an adventure. It just doesn't work. Like a bike you would ride on Romaniacs is much different than a bike you would ride on an adventure. Not to say that I don't enjoy watching it or I don't enjoy people having a stupid good time doing things like that. It's good. So Worldly Rider says, this is on YouTube, so go check out. I got to check out his page right here. How's Worldly? I was able to do that with the other guy here. Why couldn't I? Oh, that was another thing. Do dirt bike riders have lower testicles than the average guy? That's a good question. I haven't really gone out and done a study on that yet, but who's to say that? I mean, now I think you, Worldly Rider, need to define what a guy is to explain so I don't get myself into trouble for talking about something I don't really know about. So, okay, back to the thing. We have one that's in kanji and I can't read it. The secret chassis mod that factory Yamahas use. Here's a good one. The excellent reviews, like always. See, that's the kind of comment I can get behind on our 2021 beta 200RR full test. See, this is a real test because we tested a beta. Show is brought to you by Yamaha, by the way, in case you were wondering. SS Racing 66 says, in this video, we walk you through the full build, explain the geometry changes, in quotes. He says, did I miss that part? I was hoping to hear about the ride height, sag, rake, trail, geometry changes and setup. Come on, you guys, don't keep it secret. Obviously, you didn't watch the whole video. Neither did I, so I can't really tell you whether you have a valid comment or not. I should probably call Trevor Hunter to find out. But maybe he popped up in that chat thing that I had going earlier. I heard someone pile in there. No, he did not. Next on the questions, here it is. Fixing a slipping clutch. Know when your dirt bike clutch is slipping video. It says, my clutch slips under heavy load when the engine is cold, but after 8 to 12 miles when the engine is hot, it works perfectly normal. Okay, Marcus 8818, this is a problem. If your clutch is slipping when it's cold, it's slipping and it's causing problems. The reason it may, after 8 to 10 miles, in other words, heat up and get sticky, it could be a number of things. And I'm just off the top of my head, I'm going to run down some of this stuff. It's kind of a brain dump here, but bear with me. You may have at some point used some sort of an oil with some sort of an additive or a friction modifier that at lower temperatures is very slippery, but at high temperatures goes away. That would be my first thing. But if your clutch slips at all when you don't want it to, especially under heavy load, that's not a good thing. I'm also wondering if that something to do with when it heats up, the expansion of the metal parts is actually causing that little bit extra pressure, which means your clutch is at what we call an installed gap is too small, and it has to heat up to achieve the right installed gap. So you want to probably just replace all of your clutch plates. That would be the next thing to do. AI says it sounds like you might be due for an oil change, or check your clutch lever free play and cable tension. So I'm going to go along that avenue as well. So if your clutch has a cable, and I think hydraulic everything, but if your clutch has a cable, and depending on the design of the clutch, if it's one of the clutches that as it heats up, it allows more free play to come in, when it's cold, your clutch is being held open by the cable free play. There's not enough. And so you might want to loosen the free play or add some free play. And of course, when it slips, it'll get hot and then it will expand, and then you might get the extra free play. Like I know, for instance, on like our old Honda XRs, we used to run a lot of free play in the beginning because as it heated up, it would go away and get less. And then those are really bad because they would fry themselves as they warmed up. Where the other one is like all of a sudden as it heats up, the lever play gets more and more. That's the opposite of what you are seeing here. So just so you know, that's what I'm thinking right there. I don't have any idea what I said in the how to fix a slipping clutch. I should watch that video again. I think, it's how to know when your clutch is slipping. And this is an interesting technique too. So a lot of people say, is my clutch slipping? Is my clutch slipping? Well, here's how you find out. Go on a road or a really good hard packed surface and roll the throttle on and don't touch the clutch lever, but then start dragging the brake. And if you start dragging the brake and the engine continues to rev up, in other words, it doesn't bog down, the reason it can do that, your clutch is slipping, just so you know. So you can watch these very informative, enjoyable, tech-based videos on dirt bike tests on our YouTube channel, or go to www.dirtbiketest.com and search if you have a question, because our search works really good. Hey, couple cool things. Box from Bulletproof Designs showed up today. So Bulletproof Designs, they make everything that you would ever need, and some things you didn't know you needed, like this. I didn't know I needed this, but now I do. This is a gas cap that goes into a stock KTM fuel tank that has so you can dump the gas out of your tank. Because if you ever tried to dump the gas out of your stupid stock KTM gas tank that doesn't have a nozzle on it, it goes everywhere. You have to have a big giant funnel. Well, with this, you can just clip it in there, turn the tank upside down, and pour it back into a container. Or if you have friends, and I don't know what those are, but somebody told me that people that go riding with you, when your bike has a small tank and you're going to run out of gas and you want to tank your buddy's tank off and put this in it and pour it in there, you could do that too, but I don't suggest any of that. Another cool thing you didn't know you needed from Bulletproof Designs. This is a space saver. And so this goes in if you have extra wheels and you don't want to lose your spacers in the wheels. You can take this thing, this part comes apart, and you unscrew it and you put it in there, and then your spacers don't fall out. And you don't have to like put tape over them and different things that we've done in the past. This is a super Sano tool for your spare wheel. And this other thing I just got, if you're unlike me and you like to crash a lot, I don't like to crash. It's been a long time since I broke a lever, or even worse and way more expensive is the master cylinder or on the brake or the clutch. And these are lever perch little dealy bobs that have this little extended piece out on them. I'm showing this on we call it the emergency camera, the one that you can usually see what tequila I'm drinking. So this is a really Santa little part. So what it does is a lot of times when instead of lever braking, it'll actually break the, $200 to $300 part out. So what this does is has this nice plastic thing in here will actually allow it to slip and slide before it breaks. We used to wrap Teflon tape around the bars to accomplish what this is doing. But this piece here, it uses the stronger part of the mount, and then this butts up against the reservoir and kind of fills the void where the part would break. And how do they know? They sponsor a lot of Hawaiian extreme enduro riders that are really good at breaking stuff. And their guys are not afraid to throw a little ghosty at the top of a very steep hill climb or to get through some gnarly rocks. So these are the kind of things that little part that can save you a lot of money in the long run. Bulletproof Designs. Go to bulletproofdesigns.com if you're interested in some of those things. Just so you know. Also, good company, Fast Company Flex handlebars. I run those on all my bikes. Tugger straps, if you need to Tugger strap. Again, you need a friend for these to make them work. You don't have to tell me about it. Let's see here. Worldly Rider never got back to me on how to define what a guy is. Tucson Don says, on the FX, how many miles can you get out of it on the IMS 2.8 tank? So I was doing, well, it kind of depends on how you ride. This is what, I have to always paraphrase that when we start talking about, fuel range. And I like to use sort of this rough, depending on how you ride, are you getting 25 miles a gallon, 30 miles a gallon, 35 miles a gallon? Those are the kind of the usual ones that we use. When I'm racing, I'm like around 28 would be a really safe estimate for me on the Yamaha. And so you can at that point do the math. If I'm getting close to 30, I'm going to get like 85 miles. And so there was some longer, I know I've done 80, I think 88 was kind of the max I got. So we're running out at we're getting really close to 30 miles to the gallon. And of course, when it got that low, and I think my IMS tank actually holds a little bit more than 2.8, believe it or not. When I got really low, I started riding different. So I was nursing it because I had to make it someplace to get gas. So, do that. I know guys that get all the way down to like 20 miles to the gallon on bikes, depending on how they ride. So hopefully, Tucson Don, that helped you out. The question here is on our proof you don't need a $12,000 race bike to compete, and that's a KLX 300 Kawasaki video. Why didn't you at least ride the 300R? In my opinion, that would have been a much more interesting comparison. Well, Trevor was lazy, and all he had was the dual sport version, so he just went and did it on that anyways. And I'm sorry we didn't interest you with that. Hope you watched the whole video. Yamaha Tenere World Raid first riding impression, a DVD-H 4937 says, and what about tubeless tires, spelled Tyres? So he's not from this country, or he's implanted into this country because we spell it tires. That's Tires. So what about tubeless tires? What about them? Tenere does not have tubeless tires. There's definitely ways you could morph those into being tubeless, in all honesty. I use this technique with some like rim tape and gutter sealant, and I was able to make tubeless tires out of tube tires. So if that's something that you want to do, you probably could, but I'm just as happy running and carrying a tube, because a lot of times when a tubeless tire fails, you're putting a tube in it anyways. I mean, you can patch it easier sometimes, but just sort of depends on what you're doing. Let's see. There's a guy that's been doing our chassis mod secrets for a long time. Dream While You Sleep says, thanks, Jimmy and Heather. I was wondering if you rode the lowered version and how it affected the handling. And he's asking for a short friend. Okay, tell your short friend that my wife is kind of short, and she was going to trade with this other girl who was really short that was riding the lowered one, because the girl, she was a really good rider. She's from Canada, one of the Canadian publications. She wanted to ride the tall one, but I think Yamaha kind of thought since she was small, she should be riding the small one, and it definitely made it easier. It would have made it easier, but we did not ride it. I don't think I rode it, at least. I hopped on a couple different bikes, but I don't think I ever jumped on a lowered one because I don't really like them. Nobody complained about it that was riding the lowered one. So typically they make them feel a little bit more planted, a little bit more stable, a little bit less nimble. That's just typical. I don't know specifically on that bike. I wish I could answer this question. Usually Logan would be here and he would translate the kanji for me. This is the 2020. So we said the 2027 Yamaha Tenere World Raid first riding impression. He says, this is the 2026 model. The new 2027 is not out yet. Okay. I was under the impression we were riding 27s, but who knows? Maybe I didn't pay that much attention. I'm pretty sure it's going to be exactly the same. Radical Yamaha 450 setup tips. Green Stack says, I don't know about that. I put a Yamaha. I'm Yamaha put a good amount of R&D into the bike chassis and overall setup. Doing stuff like that might make it better in one area, but it will make it worse in other areas. I don't feel this is ever something I've felt the need to do either. Okay. Yeah, I know Yamaha puts a lot of R&D into it, but there we go. Back to the thing. Jumping in from Millville, California. Okay, don't know where that's at. Millville. I went to Millville, but that was someplace different. World Rally Rider again. Have you ever heard of a Dominican tattoo? It's related to all the bikes. It's related to the bikes they all ride. I have not heard of that. I'm thinking hopefully you can inform me of this information too. And Kenny EIO says, thank you for the bleeding advice. I started up the beta with newly installed Recluse. It now engages at every setting. At every setting. The clutch doesn't disengage no matter where the adjustment slave is set. So, Kenny, I will tell you, do you need to put in heavier wedges or springs? Kenny, the most important thing in installing a Recluse is the installed gap, which is really clearly explained in their documentation, and that is the thickness of all of the clutch plates. So in reality, the bleeding, it should have no effect in this because the clutch should work without the lever ever being touched, by the way. So you have to be very careful that you're putting everything in there exactly, and their instructions are really good. You want to make sure that you're putting everything back in there exactly as prescribed. And if you're reusing old plates, like maybe old steels or however you have it set up, they're very particular about the thickness, because if it's not that thickness, it makes it very difficult for it to work. And then adjusting the free play on the cylinder becomes kind of, on the slave cylinder becomes kind of difficult. So and you don't want to have it kind of affecting it at all. Especially when you're putting it back together, you want to make sure that there's some free play in there, and it's all, like I said, follow the instructions and you should be okay. But at that point, if it's always engaged, there's something wrong, because the slave can't push it out far enough to make it so that the clutch can spin. So that would indicate that your installed gap is a little bit too thick. There's too much clutch plates in there. And I know on some of the stacks, whether it's stock from Beta or KTM, there's different thicknesses of metals in there. Like generally all the fibers or the centered plates, whichever they are the same thickness, but the metals, sometimes there's different sizes to kind of adjust that total spacing. So give that a check. And did you do the measurement on did you actually measure the full clutch stack? That's the key. And if you're outside of that range, it will never work. So yeah, following instructions. I've also seen people forget to put like the big washer on the back of the clutch basket. I've seen sometimes and I don't recall exactly the Beta, but the indexing of the pressure plate was off by sometimes there's arrows that need to point each other, and if they're not exactly on, it doesn't set all the way down, which would not cause that problem. Usually that causes it to never engage. But usually it's something has been left out inside of there that causes the clamping force to be too much, and then it can't really expand. But wedges and tees, so wedges and springs are a tuning option once it's working. Once it's functioning properly, then you would use wedges and springs to adjust exactly how it works. The only other thing I can think of is that your idle speed is so high that it's never allowing it to disengage. I've seen some people do that as well. Their idle speed is high enough to where it's spinning, and then at that point, if you like that idle speed, you could use adjustments to fix it. But I'm gonna try. Is it true Jake Clark is the greatest racer of all time? Don't know. I don't think it's true. I don't even think Jay would say that is true. He may be the greatest YouTube, TikTok, Instagram mechanic quick tip guy of all time. And that guy can get a single bike in more magazines and get more press out of a single bike than anyone else. He's done it multiple times. I've ridden him. And so let's see. Kenny says it does have a race map plus 100. Don't know what that means. Race map in his Beta plus 100. I don't know. Yeah. Everything race scares me. Just kidding. Okay. What else do we have?
Kind of went off the reservations.
Yeah, that was a little video from a dirt bike test. Let's see. So I was really considering a Honda CRF 300L, but I really love the Kawasaki. And he's talking about the proof you don't need a $12,000 race bike. And I have been watching videos and reading through AI reports. Ooh, AI? Hold on. Let me ask AI what it thinks of your question. Overall, the KLX 300 wins in my opinion. However, the KLX 300 seems to die a lot in this video. Is that normal? Would this also happen with the CRF 300L too? Yeah, you got to consider the rider. So Trevor Hunter is riding skills, especially his clutch. He likes to drag the brake a lot, so that makes it harder for him to control the clutch, and therefore he stalls more than I would. Just saying. So I don't think between those two bikes you're going to find a noticeable performance difference in the way that the clutch works. He was riding it in extremely technical stuff with stock gearing. Stock gearing is relatively tall. Therefore, the bike might have a tendency, the bike or any bike in that category would probably have a tendency to stall a little bit more. Yeah, Kenny, the 100 more RPM and idle speed should not make a big difference. But maybe try dropping the idle down to where it'll barely just idle and see if it disengages at that point. And then we can go from there. But like I said, number one, the gap of the clutch plates, the what they call the installed, the thickness or installed thickness of the plates, and then number 2, potentially idle speed. Barn Cycle on our Ultimate 300 2-stroke off-road bike build says, first ride on a rebuild, got all the parts from South Bay and all was well. I would say this bike is way better now. I got the upgraded crank seal on the clutch side, and between the power valve cover and new top end, no longer sucking tranny fluid, and the TSP tunes, the bike is around 30% better. The bike was already awesome, but now it's crisp. My one and only complaint is that I expected the easy clips for the wrist pin with the TSP top end, and I got stuck with the old style. Had I known that, I would have paid extra for them. It's high, but worth it if you want top performance out of your $11,000 machine. Okay. Easy clips for the wrist pin. That's not going to affect performance, but it's really a bummer when those things fly down into the bottom of the cases when you're working on it. Don't ask me how I know. Inner Shield said, this video is for the 2026 model on my 2027 Yamaha Tenere World Raid first riding impression. I was at the event in Idaho, and this is the 2026 model. The 2027 is not out yet. Apparently, the people in this video are idiots, or whoever posted it is. Well, I'll take that. So now that's 2 people that are telling me I'm an idiot. I wanted to be the first out with the 2027 video, even though I was riding the 2026 model. I'm probably just going off of I honestly did not check to see whether it was 26 or 27. I just assumed, so bad on me. The people in this video, that would be me and my wife, are idiots. That's nice. So I assumed, because usually the bikes, because I just rode a 2027 Yamaha YZ250F, and I'm pretty sure that was a 2027. I'm kind of sure, but the best thing is that when the 2027 videos start coming out, ours will have so much more views than anybody else's that we'll just search really high. But thanks for doing that. I hope you reported us to the YouTube so that I can get banned and then I don't have to do it anymore. That would be awesome. Kind of like this podcast. Maybe if you report this podcast, then I won't have to do this anymore. But anyways, that's about it. Trevor didn't call in. He was supposed to. He was going to talk about the video that we did. Okay, I'll let you know when I can come on. And I haven't heard that. So that's it. In other news, I don't check out the t-shirts on they're just t-shirt drops, by the way, and once they're gone, they're gone. Like, you can't get any more. So just so you know, if you like one, don't wait, and just keep saving your pennies. I'm going to do a segment. I think I'm going to do a segment on if I had if I had $100, what would I spend it on? And it might be one of these t-shirts. You just never know. Okay. What else did I have in my notes of things to go over on this? Oh, Rooster Endo, brought to you by Taco Moto. I forgot about this. Guess what? Paul is a winner. This is Paul's bike because, this is a 2021 KTM 250 XC TPI. Aftermarket stuff is a Scott steering stabilizer. Hold on. It's too, somehow the type went off the page and now I can't see anything. Let's see if I can fix this. I have no idea why this happened. Okay. Scott steering stabilizer top mount because I don't like high bars, S3 foot pegs, a Chirby skid plate, FMF silencer to get the spark arrestor, front tugger strap. There we go. Tugger straps. Rear strap is also a homemade. Well, that's not good. You should, so with your Taco Moto $100 that you're going to win, you should buy the tried and true 100% authentic Tugger rear strap. Enduro Engineering front handguards that mount to the lever perches. Dingo's thick plastic upper fork guards. Testing some cheap tires that work fine. To get some more low end, it has an RK Tech head. Moved one of the fuel injectors into the reed cage. and put a JD piggyback tuner to give it some extra fuel where it was lean. I ride in the Oregon mountains, but sorry, no mountain pictures that had the bike in it. Thanks, Paul. Okay. Let me take a closer look at this bike here, Paul. I do like the gray no graphics look. I'll give you that. That's a pretty clean look. I have one that looks kind of almost like it actually. Lots of protection. You need some bulletproof designs, especially, if you're going to be smashing that thing up with all that protection. A bulletproof heavy duty clutch cover would be another thing that you could use your taco bucks on. I'm pretty sure. I don't know if they carry bulletproof, but anyways, they might. But this shows you how easy it is to win, because you could, about 2 minutes before this show goes on, no, you can't do it that soon, but you should do it right now when you're listening to this podcast. You can roll your bike out of the garage and lean it on your fence. And you could snap a quick picture of it with your phone, and you could send an email to Jimmy@DirtBikeTest. And you have to put Rooster Endo in the subject line. And the only thing that I require is year, make, and model. Adding some information to it really does help, but I'll make it all up even if you can't. So there we go. Paul, here's how this works, by the way. And Paul is Oregon Riders. That's my bike. Sometimes you just win for showing up, especially when you're in the over 60 class. Well, our over 60 guys didn't win. They got second. So I always say second ain't shit. That's what they told me my whole life. Yeah, so that's your bike and you're a winner. And here's what you got to do now. You have to remind me that you won. So you need to reply to the email that you sent in and say, hey, look, I won Rooster Endo. Can you remember within the next year to 6 months, send it over to those guys so they can send me my gift certificate. And then Alex will get you tuned in and dialed in. I'm usually the one that screws up from this stuff because I'm really bad at following through on some things. Okay. And he just saved himself. I have a chain guide tab protector on there by Bulletproof. Yes, that's a must have. Especially when you're talking about protection, just like those little chingaderas I kind of showed on the thing, the Brembo guards for the levers. This is the same thing. You do not want to snap that off on your chain guide. You don't want to break that sucker off. So, hey, good for. How'd you time it in to be the only one on this show? That was good. I mean, because we took a week off. My bad, because I'm an idiot. Because I was out riding a bike that doesn't exist yet, but I actually did that twice. So, what else do we have going on in this show? I can't really say. So, Paul, your winner. Thanks. That's a nice bike. You're one of the rare people that actually is proud of their 250. Like everybody's 300, and you got a 250, which I rode them, and there's certain characteristics of it that's pretty nice. So, let's see what else we have clicking through here. Again, don't forget to go on there and buy some of Jerry's books. I could read this poem called Mean Streak. I tried to get the segment sponsored where if you pay me enough, I don't read it. But I think I'm, nothing like a little bad dream, right? just do you. This is Tech Talk Taco Tuesday. It's the podcast where we talk about motorcycle and motorcycle products. I answer your questions. My name is Jimmy Lewis. I think I'm trying to focus. I'm trying to have some focus here on this show. See, I can put this in my drink and then I can focus. But last time I did that, I forgot to turn the sound on. So, okay. If you have any other questions, this is your last chance to get those in. I know there's a little bit of a delay in the video, so you might be completely screwed because I may have hung up before you figure out when this show ends. No thanks to Trevor for not coming on. Check out I got to get up early and finish writing the riding impression of that bike. The words. I should just ask AI to do it, which I do, but you have to correct it because it's always wrong. But again, Hot Shoe Hall of Fame. The dates have been, save the dates. I think it's pretty much the first week in February. It's in conjunction with the Mecum auction, which is really cool. like the Mecum auction costs a little bit to get into, and if you sign up for the Hall of Fame, the Hot Shoe Hall of Fame, which is free, by the way, you get to go to the Mecum auction for free and check out a lot of cool old motorcycles. At the Hot Shoe Hall of Fame, you'll get to see a lot of legend motorcycle racers and good times hanging out. Some bench racing sessions that go on, and it's not a formal thing. We have a go-kart race. You may have heard, I don't like to talk about it too much, but sometimes I win the go-kart race. It's I don't know what it was called. The overall winner here. And hopefully I didn't spill anything on it. So, okay. That's it for this particular episode 292. If you like this, share, comment. You've got to start doing that because I want to be a grandfluencer, by the way. And I think I need more followers to make that actually happen. We are a rare breed. We are dying off. And if you don't support us, we can't have a whole lot of money left in our bank account to give to someone that I don't care anymore because I'm already dead. So with that, everybody, I will see you out on the trail. Cheers from the Dirt Bike Test World headquarters. And now I have to figure out how to turn this stupid show off. I know there's a button for it someplace.
If you liked what you saw in this video, come check us out over at dirtbiketest.com on the webs. We have bike tests, product tests, a lot of fresh dirt, and you can even support us by clicking through our links. Hopefully, we'll see you out in the trail.